So the variables you just laid out would all also match up to to George Bush, the first president of elite education, coming from a wealthy background, service in World War II, having seen combat. That all kind of tracks to that. And then I'm just thinking as we talk that the level of the willingness to use force, but also a degree of caution along with it, would seem to be consistent between the first Bush and JFK. But then we get to the second Bush, who has all of the same social variables, but then has the military experience but no combat. Work out the math for us, and then how that applies to the second Bush's decision sequence.
Yeah, sure. So again, great questions. We're starting to get into a little bit in the tails of what we can talk about, because part of the purpose of our book is to say, look, we need to set aside this past 60 years of not studying leaders and come back to really understand them. So we see this as a rudimentary or a first cut. But I think your question about the distinction between George Herbert Walker Bush and George Bush is an important one. And both have the same sort of cultural upbringing. Both have a training in the military. George Bush the elder has the experience of being shot down, seeing his co-pilot killed in the plane, and ending up on a life raft. George Bush the younger does not. George Bush the elder has the willingness to make the difficult decisions, but does so in a cautious manner, and ends up with the 1991 invasion in Iraq. We pause, we stop. There's the famous line, you break it, you bought it. And so we leave Saddam Hussein in power. The second George Bush administration doesn't have that type of constraint yet, because they haven't seen, he and many of his other members of his administration, Cheney, Rumsfeld, also have the same set of proclivities, and so they're willing to take even greater risks. Not just the risk to begin the war, but the risk to depose an authoritarian leader and create this instability without, it turns out, now retrospectively we know, a great set of plans of how to manage that instability afterwards.